back to another video. Today we're making 3 recipes. One of the things I hear a lot when I tell people that I'm vegan, it's I would love to go vegan, but veganism is so expensive, I can't afford it. But I'm like, dude, have you tried lentils? Like, lentils are one of the most brilliant foods because they're dead cheap. They're super nutritious, your gut microbiome loves it, and also it's just so fun to cook with them. And here today I'm going to be making 3 recipes that are very unlikely and maybe you have never seen with lentils. So the first one is something for breakfast. We are going to make buns, like just bread, regular bread. You can make a loaf if you want as well, but this bread is very special because it has lentils in it. It's super easy to make, and that way you can ensure you already have 1 serving of lentils or legumes or pulses before you leave the house even. So it's a great recipe if you want to incorporate more lentils into your diet, or not more lentils into your diet, just more legumes in general into your diet, because it's a very easy way. Most people already eat bread, so that way you're just sneaking some lentils in without you actually noticing. And it's also brilliant if you have someone in the house, let's say a kid or your inner child doesn't like lentils. That's a very good way to start eating them, so your gut starts getting used to it and you can actually get more nutrition out of your regular breakfast buns. The second recipe we're going to be making is a steak. So of course lentils are a good source of protein, but they also have carbohydrates, and if for whatever reason you want a higher concentration of protein, you have to go with a little more processed foods. So in this case we're going to be using seitan. Seitan is the protein in wheat, is what people with celiac disease are allergic to. So if you have celiac disease, don't make this recipe by all means. And we're going to be using lentils to basically make this seitan steak a bit more whole foods, and also to make the lentils a bit more protein rich. So it's win-win on both aspects. And the last recipe we're making is a fudge, a chocolate fudge. Only 3 ingredients, no cooking needed, and it's absolutely brilliant. It's so creamy and you can barely tell there's lentils in there. Like, I've been just eating this all this time. It's been so good. And look, it's like a spread and it's super silky and smooth, and it has lentils. So this fudge is also a brilliant way to get, let's say, the young ones in the house, the kiddies, to start eating lentils as well, or any legumes. And also for yourselves, if you're not used to it, if you just don't manage to get all of your legumes in during the day, because they're super nutritious foods that everyone should be eating, no matter if you're vegan or not. But if you find it hard to include lentils or chickpeas or anything in your diet, these 3 recipes will help you a lot. So I hope you enjoy them, and thank you so much for watching. And yeah, I hope you enjoy the recipes, and let me know in the comments, by the way, if you want more videos like this. It has been a while since I've been uploading content in English, because most of my follow-up is from the Spanish-speaking world and they speak Spanish, and I wanted to make content in English because, yeah, why not? But my content in English is not as popular because I'm not really known in English-speaking world or YouTube or anything. So if you want more content in English, please let me know in the comments. I would love to read them. I read everything, I reply to everything, so I'm really looking forward to read you in the comments. So that's all for me, and now to the recipes. Lentil bread. So we're gonna be making lentil buns actually, and we're gonna start with 150 ml of warm water to activate our yeast. We're gonna sweeten that with 2 teaspoons of sugar. We mix it well, and now if it's warm only, not too cold, because that will not do anything for the yeast, and not too hot because that will kill the yeast. It has to be just right and perfect. We're gonna be adding 4 teaspoons of yeast, just the regular instant yeast that you can buy in the supermarket, and we're gonna mix it well. We're gonna cover it with a clean cloth and we leave it to rest for 10 minutes in a warm place. I left that next to my heater. It works just fine and it makes like a really beautiful foam. Now we're gonna be, in the meantime, making a puree with our cooked lentils. So we have 500 grams of cooked lentils, and we blend that with 150 ml of water. We add this to 500 grams of whole grain wheat flour. You can use spelt flour if it's cheaper for you, because here in Chile it's not really available. So mix that well, and now after 10 minutes our yeast should look like this. We mix everything together, and we have to incorporate all the mix with our hands, and then we have to knead the dough for 5 minutes. This will activate the gluten, which is the protein in the flour, in wheat flour, and that will make our buns more fluffy and elastic and all of that. So just remember that if you're using cooked lentils from beforehand, you have to make sure that they're not refrigerator cold, because otherwise it's going to be very hard to knead the dough, and you can actually inactivate the yeast if the dough is too cold. So the good thing about kneading the dough is that you're going to be transferring some of the temperature of your hands into the dough. And even if you, like me, have very cold and small hands, it works just fine. But if you have somebody in the house who has warmer or bigger hands, it works even better. So put that person to knead. After we're done kneading the dough, we have to divide it into 8 portions. So I always go with 1/2, then quarters, and then I cut each quarter into half, getting 8 pieces of dough, which are roughly the same size. So we have to make little little balls, and now we have to let them resting on the cooking tray, which is the one we're gonna be baking them in. So use a baking tray that is suitable for the oven and put some parchment on that. So we're gonna leave our buns resting there for 30 minutes in a warm place. And make sure that all of your buns are roughly the same size, because it's very important for them to bake well. And also, when I start making this process, since I live in a very cold place, I try to always switch on my oven to warm it up, and that way I can switch it off and then I leave my buns resting in the oven because it's warm and nice, and it's gonna be great for the yeast. Otherwise, in my house, the yeast might be deactivated because of how cold it is. So make sure that you put them to rest in a warm and nice place. Near the fire is always very good. So we cover them with a clean cloth, and now we let them rest for 30 minutes. After 30 minutes, they should have maybe doubled in size, and now we make some cuts. I like to make some eggs scoring. You can do whatever you want, actually. I mean, it works just fine, but I like to make it like that because I think it looks really nice. And now we're gonna bake them for 25 minutes at 180 degrees Celsius. To know if they're done, they should be golden on the outside, and also if you grab one and knock on the bottom, it should sound hollow. So that is your sign to know that your buns are ready. And also you can freeze this bread because it's so nutritious and it's so good, and it's such a sneaky way of getting lentils into your diet. You won't believe how nice they taste. You can barely taste the lentils. So thank you so much for watching. And now to the next recipe. Let's make seitan steaks. So we're gonna be starting with 1/2 cup of tomato sauce. I'm using one tomato sauce that is 100% tomatoes. Try to use one that is more or less natural, not just so processed. Add 1/2 cup of water, and with that you can rinse the rest of the tomato sauce, which is also gonna be giving us some really nice color and also some nice acidity. We are adding now 1 cup of lentils, already cooked, and we're going to be blending this. And now for flavors, this is super optional. This is really up to your taste. What I like to use is 1 teaspoon of Spanish paprika, the kind of sweet one, not the really smoky one, and 1 teaspoon of ají de color, which is a Chilean spice, which is like smoked chilies. It's like smoked chili powder, but chili flakes would also work. And also 1 teaspoon of soy sauce or miso paste, which is really nice for a umami flavor, and also loads of black pepper. So we're gonna puree this, and this is gonna be our base for flavor and texture, because the fact that we have lentils in the seitan means that the texture will be very different to the kind of preparations that are 100% seitan. So we add this mixture to 1 cup of vital wheat gluten or seitan powder. I don't know how you can find it in your place. It really has a lot of names, but it's basically the protein in wheat. And you can find it already isolated, so you don't have to do all the washing of the flour, which takes very long in my opinion. So now we're gonna have to mix all of this, and you have to bear in mind that the more you knead this, the more you're gonna be activating the gluten, and this is isolated gluten, so it's all the protein, none of the carbohydrates, so you can make a very firm texture. If you want some really meaty steaks, you want to knead these for over 5 minutes. If you like them really tender, which is my case, don't over knead it. Now we're gonna steam them because all the flavors in the dough, and we don't want to wash that in a cooking water. So we put the steamer on a pot with plenty of water. I like to use some parchment as well, and I poke holes in it so the seitan doesn't stick to my steamer. And then you cut it into 4 steaks, and you can shape the steaks in whichever way you like. Just remember that the smaller the steaks, the quicker they're gonna be cooking. And if you just make one big bowl of seitan, it's gonna take very long to cook. So that's why I rather split it in 4. So I always shape them with my hand in rough pieces because I really like them to not have a very defined shape. You can also make sausages with this mixture. It comes really nice as well. Oh, sorry about that alarm. So we're gonna be steaming them 25 minutes on each side. So we steam them 25 minutes, then we flip them, and then we let them cook for 25 more minutes. If you're not sure if they're really cooked through, just cut them in half and see how the center looks. It should look all the same and really even. That's the texture you're looking for. And once they're done, you can just store them in the fridge for up to a week, and they can be used in all sorts of preparations. They're really nice. You can just have them in whichever way you would use a normal steak. So thank you so much for watching. And this is the final result. I basically pan fried it on both sides until crispy with plenty of black pepper and served it with a bit of cherry jam. Lovely. Thank you. Bye. Lentil chocolate fudge. This is a recipe that doesn't have a lot of lentils. In a way, it's a good way to help our body get to know pulses and lentils and legumes. So by using a small amount, we are basically introducing our gut to the lentils, like, hello gut, these are lentils, hello lentils, this is my gut. So you can digest them better, and you learn to digest them because you're creating digestive capacity. So we're gonna be melting 100 grams of vegan chocolate. I'm using just all dark chocolate from the supermarket, 100 grams of it, with sugar. And now we're gonna be mixing 1 cup and a quarter of lentils. That is about the amount that comes in a tin of lentils or a Tetra brick as we buy them here in Chile. And we're gonna blend this very well with some coconut cream. I'm using the coconut whipping cream with the liquid and everything because this plus the sugar of the chocolate for me is sweet enough. But if you're just using coconut milk or coconut cream, you might want to sweeten this mixture a little bit with some agave or some sugar or some dates. We blend this very well, and when it's all blended, we have to add the melted chocolate. So chocolate takes a little bit longer to melt when it's cold because here's winter. So I had to change the water a couple of times, and never put chocolate over an open flame because it really ruins the chocolate. So once it's all melted, we're gonna add it to the blender, but try to make this step when the blender is still functioning because it's easier that way. When the chocolate basically hits the mixture, which is a bit colder, it might become solid again, and that's gonna be very difficult to solve. So try to do this while the blender is running. I couldn't do that here because I was filming, but I did it anyways. And it worked. So you get this fudge, and it works great for cupcakes or for cakes, or just eaten with a spoon as a fudge, or you can put it on a plate or mix it with fruit. It's just any way you like to eat this because it's a brilliant way to include legumes in a very sneaky way. So thank you so much for watching the video until the end, and thank you so much if you already subscribed. See you, bye bye. Oh, and by the way, this is how I presented it. I just put it on a plate and it was so nice. And this is what I was eating at the beginning of the video. I had totally forgotten I had this shot in the end. Thank you.